The Bold and the Beautiful B&B. Spoilers reveal that Katie Logan, Heather Tom, may be glad she rejected Bill Spencer, Don Diamond, if he behaves how she expects him to. Katie doesn't trust that she's the only woman for Bill, since he's always been so drawn to Brooke Logan, Catherine Kelly Lang. The last thing Katie wants is to surrender her heart to Bill again and let him break it for the umpteenth time. Even Will Spencer, Crew Morrow, has urged Katie to protect herself here, so it's easy to see why Katie shut Bill down. Although Bill called Katie the love of his life, she's not sure she buys that. Katie clearly feels like there's a good chance Bill would be back together with Brooke if she weren't locked into a Ridge Forrester, Thorsten K. romance. As luck would have it, Taylor Hayes, Rebecca Budig, is back in town and pulling Ridge in her direction. It may not be long until Taylor's presence and broken heart syndrome blow up Ridge's relationship with Brooke. It seems likely Brooke will lean on Bill after losing Ridge, so that could lead to Katie getting an eyeful. At some point, Katie could easily walk in Bill's mansion and spy him kissing Brooke. If that happens, Katie will no doubt feel like her suspicions about Bill secretly wanting Brooke were proven right. This could leave Katie feeling grateful that she didn't sign up for a reunion with Bill, and furious that he even tried to get back together with her. Katie may view this as proof that she's just her sister's stand-in and face some heartbreak as a result. Sometimes the truth hurts, so that may be the case for Katie if it all goes down like this. Our B&B predictions point to Bill and Brooke's bond becoming more powerful in the coming weeks, so stick with us for updates on whether that'll lead to a romantic rekindling. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say Brooke is always going to be a source of temptation for Bill, so bad news could be brewing if Katie spies a passionate moment between them. CDL's where you want to be for terrific Bold and the Beautiful spoilers, predictions, news, and updates, so make us your go-to B&B source. Katie Logan, Heather Tom, had been through more than enough heartache to last a lifetime, and much of it stemmed from the complicated relationship she shared with Bill Spencer, Don Diamond. For years, she had loved him, trusted him, and then watched him repeatedly shatter her heart. Though Bill had recently called her the love of his life and begged for another chance, Katie knew better than to give in so easily. Deep down, she feared that Bill's attraction to her sister, Brooke Logan, Catherine Kelly Lang, would always be a thorn in their relationship. As the days unfolded on the Bold and the Beautiful, Katie's worst suspicions were inching closer to becoming reality. The stage was set for betrayal, with Brooke caught in a love triangle with Ridge Forrester, Thorsten K. and Bill, while Taylor Hayes, Rebecca Budig, returned to town to complicate things even further. And as Katie braced herself for what was to come, the inevitable drama loomed large on the horizon. Katie stood in her living room, staring out the window at the beautiful Los Angeles skyline. It had been a few days since her latest conversation with Bill, where he had once again professed his undying love for her. He had said all the right things, reminding her of their shared history, of their son Will Crew Morrow, and how he couldn't imagine a life without her. But Katie had heard it all before. The scars from their past were still too raw, especially when it came to Brooke. Bill had always been drawn to Brooke, and even though Katie had tried to move past it, the shadow of her sister had always hung over their relationship like a dark cloud. It was no wonder Katie was hesitant to give Bill another chance. She sighed, pulling her cardigan tighter around her. The sound of her phone ringing startled her from her thoughts, and she glanced at the screen. It was Will, calling from his dad's house. "Hey, Mom," Will's voice greeted her. "I just wanted to check in. How are things going with you and Dad?" Katie smiled at the sound of her son's voice. Despite everything, she and Bill had always tried to keep things civil for Will's sake. "We're doing fine, sweetheart. Just taking things one step at a time." Will hesitated on the other end of the line, sensing his mother's reluctance. "You're not going to get back together with him, are you?" Katie frowned, taken aback by Will's bluntness. "What makes you say that?" "Mom, I'm not a kid anymore," Will said, his voice steady. "I know Dad says he loves you, but I've seen how he is around Aunt Brooke. You deserve better than to be second place in his life." Katie's heart sank. She had always tried to shield Will from the complexities of her relationship with Bill, but clearly he had seen more than she realized. "Appreciate you looking out for me, Will," she said softly. "But I have to make my own decisions, and right now I'm not sure getting back together with your father is the right one." Will was quiet for a moment before he spoke again. "Just be careful, Mom. I don't want to see you get hurt again." Katie hung up the phone, her mind swirling with thoughts. Will's words echoed her own deepest fears, that Bill would never be able to fully let go of Brooke, no matter how much he claimed to love her. And the last thing she wanted was to set herself up for another heartbreak. Over at Forrester Creations, Brooke Logan was facing her own emotional turmoil. Her relationship with Ridge had always been complicated, but lately things had become even more tangled. With Taylor Hayes back in town and determined to win Ridge back, Brooke found herself once again fighting for the man she loved. But the constant tug-of-war with Taylor was exhausting, and Brooke couldn't deny the pull she still felt toward Bill. She had tried to put her feelings for him in the past, but every time she saw him, that familiar spark reignited. As Brooke sat at her desk, she couldn't help but wonder, if things with Ridge were to fall apart, would she turn to Bill once again? The thought filled her with a mixture of dread and excitement. Bill had always been a source of passion and intensity in her life, but he had also caused so much pain, especially for her sister, Katie. Just as Brooke was lost in her thoughts, Bill walked into her office, flashing that signature grin that had always made her heart skip a beat. "Brooke," he said, his voice low and smooth, "I've been thinking about you." Brooke raised an eyebrow, trying to keep her emotions in check. "Bill, we've talked about this. I'm with Ridge, and you're trying to work things out with Katie." Bill stepped closer, his eyes locked on hers. "I know, but we can't ignore what's between us. We've always had something special, Brooke. You can feel it too." Brooke's heart raced as Bill moved even closer, his hand gently brushing her arm. She hated how easily he could get under her skin, how effortlessly he could make her question everything. "I love Ridge," Brooke whispered, but her voice wavered, betraying her uncertainty. "And I love Katie," Bill replied, his voice soft but insistent. "But that doesn't change what's between us." Before Brooke could respond, Bill leaned in and pressed his lips to hers. For a moment, she was lost in the kiss, her mind swirling with the familiar passion that had always existed between them. But as quickly as it began, reality came crashing back. Brooke pulled away, her breath coming in short, shallow gasps. "Bill, we can't do this." But the damage was already done. Meanwhile, Katie had decided to pay Bill a visit at his mansion. She had been feeling uneasy ever since her conversation with Will, and she needed to talk to Bill face to face to clear the air. As she pulled up to the driveway, she took a deep breath, steeling herself for whatever might come. Katie let herself in, the familiarity of Bill's mansion both comforting and unsettling. She had spent so many years in this house, but now it felt like a place full of memories she wasn't sure she wanted to relive. As she made her way toward the living room, she stopped dead in her tracks. There, in the middle of the room, were Bill and Brooke, locked in a passionate kiss. Katie's heart shattered into a million pieces. For a moment, she couldn't move, couldn't speak. It was as if time had frozen around her, and all she could do was watch as the scene before her unfolded. Bill, the man who had sworn he loved her, was kissing her sister, the very woman she had always feared would come between them. Finally, Katie found her voice. "Bill," she cried, her voice shaking with anger and pain. Bill and Brooke jumped apart, their eyes wide with shock. "Katie, Save it," Katie snapped, tears welling up in her eyes. "I knew this would happen. I knew you couldn't stay away from her." Brooke stepped forward, guilt written all over her face. "Katie, I'm so sorry. This wasn't This wasn't what? Katie cut her off, her voice trembling. This wasn't supposed to happen. You weren't supposed to betray me again. How many times do I have to be the second choice in my own relationship? Bill reached out to her, desperation in his eyes. Katie, please, let me explain. But Katie shook her head, backing away. I don't need your explanations, Bill. I was right all along. I'm just Brooke's stand-in for you. Well, not anymore. With that, Katie turned and walked out of the mansion, her heart broken, but her resolve stronger than ever. She wouldn't let Bill hurt her again. She deserved better than being a backup plan, and it was time she finally put herself first.